Okay. Is it clear now? My
Yes, sir.
screen. Okay, ma'am. So in strength of material already you have studied the beams, bending moment and shear force diagrams. There always you studied about the straight beams only. Simply support, if you remember, simply
Yes.
supported beam that is a straight one. Cantilever beam that is also straight one. And
Uh,
fixed beam that is also straight one. But one
yes.
beams are there, such type of beams are there having the somewhat radius of curvature. Okay, such type of
Okay.
beams is nothing but curved beams. So having the somewhat radius of curvature. Coming to the it is different beam in which the neutral axis is unloaded condition, the curve instead of straight, means when we apply the load, even though if we remove the after application of load, the beam is going to bend position. Such type
Okay.
of beams are known as a curved beams. Curved beams, some assumptions are there. First assumption is plane of section perpendicular to the plane of section is perpendicular to the axis of the beam remains plane after bending. It means the plane, whatever the plane of section is there, that is perpendicular to the axis of the beam. Okay,
Okay.
it means I will show that example. So see this one. Here, this is the plane, cross-sectional plane. This is a cross-sectional plane. This is a
Okay.
cross-sectional plane. For if we cut at any place, if we cut at any place, so if you cut here, the plane will appear like this. Okay, at this place, the if we see where is the center of this beam, this is the whatever the line is passing centrally, that is the central axis. This
Okay.
is the neutral axis. The bottom line is the neutral axis. Okay, so here the central axis is always perpendicular to the this plane. So if you see the in this diagram, the line is passing the centrally here. This is the perpendicular position. So based on this assumption, the theory is built up. Okay, and the modulus of elasticity in tension and compression are equal. Modulus of elasticity means it is a Young's modulus. It is a ratio of stress to strain. That is the one. Okay, so that is equal in tension and compression. Means in bending stress, in bending curved beams, this is a curved beam. This is the layer is known as this section here. This line. This is the inner layer. This one is the outer layer. So inner layer is subjected to always compression. Outer layer is always subjected to the tension. See here, the stress distribution diagram. If you observe here, the stresses whatever the acting in this direction. The stresses acting here in this direction. It means the same whatever the representation we can apply here also in the side also, and the same the diagrammatic representation we can show in this direction also. It means what happen, because we are bending this one, the material is going to gather extra here, and here because the bending, whatever the material is there, that material is going to start the cracks formation here, because the upper fiber is always subjected to the tension. Okay, it means these curved beams having the two types of um, condition of stresses. One is the tension type of stress, one is the compressive type of stress. For these two conditions, Young's modulus is same. That is the meaning of this. Okay, the material is homogeneous and obeys the Hooke's law. Based on this assumption, the beams are going to build. Now, in this curved beam, terminology is very important. In this last unit, the terminology is very, very important. Based on the terminology only, you are going to solve the problem. Okay. So first see the R naught means what? So based with the reference of this line, we need to define the all parameters. Okay. First one R naught. R naught is the radius of the out. Please mute yourself. R naught is the radius of the outer fiber in terms of mm. So see in this diagram, where is R naught? This is the R naught. It means from the here to the outermost layer, that is referred as a R naught. Ri is the nothing but inner fiber, inner radius, the radius of the inner fiber in terms of mm, means from the center to this radius. Rn is the radius of neutral axis. See, for every beam there are two axes. One is the central axis, one is the neutral axis. It means both are same meaning. But when the shape of the beam is going to change, these two, central axis and neutral axis, are going to change the positions. Okay. So central axis always lies at the central only. Neutral axis position is going to change based on the position or shape of the object. Okay. Now because the shaft is going to, the bar is, beam is going to bend at here like this, so that is the neutral axis shifted towards the center, not outwards the center, towards the center. So what is the radius now? That is Rn. Here it is represented Rn, radius of neutral axis. It is also in terms of mm. And R, capital R, represents the, it is the radius of central axis. It is the radius of central axis. That is also in terms of mm. And see here, the cross section is appearing here. Okay, this cross section, based on this cross section, the empirical relations are going to change. Now this is a cross section appearing, is a rectangular cross section. For this rectangular cross section, the area, volume, and whatever the parameters are there, I will see the terminology here. H naught is nothing but distance from the outer fiber to neutral axis. This is the line representing the neutral axis. From here to here, whatever the distance is there, that is represents the H naught. And Hi is nothing but from the distance from the neutral axis to inner fiber, that represents the Hi. And A is the area in terms of mm square, and MB is the bending moment. MB is the bending moment with respect to central axis. The units are Newton mm. Units are most important here, Babu. And eccentricity. Eccentricity is nothing but it is the distance between the neutral axis and see here, the E representing here. It is the difference between the neutral axis and central axis. It is the difference between the neutral axis and central axis. Okay. Now we need to calculate the bending stress. So this is the bending stress equation: m into y, a into e, Rn minus y. This one we need to calculate, bending stress. Okay. Now bending stresses at inner fiber. It means, so this bending stress is applying to inner fiber and outer fiber. So for the inner fiber, bending stress at Bi, bending moment into Hi, it means it is the difference between neutral axis to innermost layer. And E, A is the area, E is the eccentricity. It means difference between the neutral axis and central axis. Ri is the radius of the inner fiber. The same equation, if you apply to the outer layer, that is in place of Hi, we need to write the Ho. In place of Ri, we need to write Ro. Okay. Now, for the symmetrical section, such as symmetrical section means circular section, rectangular section. Okay. The maximum bending stress always occurs in the inner fiber. This point you need to remember, because with this point we can save the time to solve the problems. It means whenever you find the in examination circular type of section or rectangular, so no need to calculate the this additional means here. For the symmetrical section, the maximum bending moment always at the inner fiber. It means only just you calculate this one, that is enough. No need to calculate additional this one. It means even though if you calculate this one, nothing happened, but it is waste of your time. Okay.
Sir, only inner fiber we have to calculate.
For the symmetrical section, only inner fiber is enough.
Okay.
At the suppose unsymmetrical sections means L shape, C shape, if you find the cross section, At that time, we need to calculate both the things, means inner fiber and as well as outer fiber. That is the benefit of this paragraph. Okay. Now see, this is the based on the cross section. I said just now, based on the cross section, empirical relations are going to change. Okay. So in examination, if you find this kind of cross section, this is a symmetrical one. Okay. So this is a symmetrical one. Rn value relation is there. Rn is a neutral axis. For the Rn, see here, this is the neutral axis. Neutral axis means it is the center to distance between center to neutral axis. This is the neutral axis. Center to neutral axis distance is Rn. Rn relation is h by log E into R naught by Ra. Okay. H means what here? H is the total height of this object. Total height of the object. Okay. H into h by log R naught by Ra, where R equal, R means radius from the here center to centroidal axis. This distance represents the R value. So R equal Ri plus h by 2. H means this distance. So like this R value, Rn value, all are different for the based on the different cross sections. See, this is the circular section. For circular section, Rn value is square root of R naught plus square root of Ri whole square by 4. R value is the Ri plus d by 2. Okay. So these relations, just see the relation. Just remember this relation. What is use of? I will tell later.
Okay.
Now this is the trapezoidal section. For the trapezoidal section, Rn, this is the relation. So at any cost, you need to remember these all relations. We do.
Okay.
Of question will going to ask in the question exam, but anyhow you need to remember this all relation. Here also Rn R. Here also Rn R. Okay.
Okay.
This is also, here also Rn R. Rn R. Here this is, so this is the unsymmetrical section. See, this is the unsymmetrical, because if you cut here, the similar shape will not appear in this side.
Yes, sir.
And this is the unsymmetrical section. If you cut here, the similar shape will not appear here. This is a symmetrical one, the below diagram.
Okay.
Now this is the one. This is also unsymmetrical section. This is also unsymmetrical section, because this is having the somewhat length bi, here b naught. So that reason this is the unsymmetrical section.
Okay.
These two are the symmetrical sections. If you cut here, same dimensions appear both sides. If you cut horizontally, same dimensions will appear both sides. Okay. Now after calculating the Rn Ri, what is the use? See here, I am showing what is the use. See here. Here to calculate the Ri value, to calculate the R naught value, to calculate the H naught value, to calculate the HI value, this Rn are all going to will use. Okay. I will show the one example problem. I will show with this example. Just wait. क्लास चल रहा है, कई बात कर मीट में रहे ना, मीट में बाहर चल जी. Just wait, I'm showing the problems. Now see here. See here. Is it appearing my screen?
Yes, sir.
This is here. A clamp C.
the C means the shape is C, okay, is subjected to a maximum load of W we don't know, as shown in figure. If the maximum tensile stress in the clamp is limited to 140 megapascal, means tensile stress, permissible stress is given, stress value is given 140 megapascal, find the value of W. So such type of question, W we need to calculate. So the question is given in the diagram here like this. The shape is like this given, and if we cut here, where we can, wherever you see, if you cut here like this, otherwise you cut like this, okay, just I will, if you cut like this or if you cut like this, the shape is appear like this. What type of shape appearing here? T shape appearing. So if the T shape appearing, what you need to do? You need to recall the related to the whatever the shape T shape is there. Such type of shape diagrams you need to recall. Sorry, not diagrams. Formulas you need to recall. So this is the formulas. For the T shape, what are the formula? Rn value, Ra value, you need to recall. So what is the formula? Ti. Ti is nothing but this is the thickness. Okay. Bi, this is the width, minus T. T means what? Outer thickness, plus T into H. T into total H, height of this figure. Like that, whatever the relation is there, total you need to recall. Okay, you recall. After that, one by one we calculate. So see here, Rn value. Rn value we are calculating. What is Rn value? Just now we calculate Ti into Bi minus T plus T into H. Bi minus T into log E. He calculated, we substituted the all values, whatever this is there. Whatever the parameters required for these formulas, all will be given in the question. So Rn value he calculated. Rn value he calculated. Same value also he calculated. So see the R value, Ri plus 1 by 2 H square into T. Just I want to show that one. Ri plus 1 by 2 into T into H plus 1 by 2 Ti square into Bi minus T. Bi minus T. Okay. So these two relations, we based on these two relations, he calculate the answer. Rn value he got the radius as 31.64 and R value he got as 33.2. After calculating, what he did, क्लास होते खुदा था हमारा. So after calculated the Rn value, R value, what he did, he calculated the eccentricity. Eccentricity means, what is eccentricity? R minus Rn. Just now I said what is eccentricity?
Yes.
Rn, R minus Rn. That is also he calculated. How much he got? 1.56 he got. Now distance between the load and central axis. So see the figure. Load W is given. The question is asking to calculate the load value. So from the centroid, this is the origin of the figure. From here to here, how much is given? 50. Okay. Now that is calculated. X value. Suppose here to here, how much we don't know. So that is x equal 50 plus R. R is the central distance from the this center to central axis. R is the center to central axis, that is R. Okay. Now 50 is the from here to this point. So distance between the load and the central axis. Distance between the load and central axis is 50 plus R. We calculated. Now bending moment. Bending moment is force into perpendicular distance, that you know. So force
Yes.
is a W value. Perpendicular distance just now we calculated as a 83. Okay. Multiply with this you will get the answer in terms of W. W only you need to calculate. So see here, the diagrammatic representation also same like this you need to draw in the examination also. Here W is applying, okay. This is the distance from here to here. It means center, origin of the figure. This is the origin. O is the figure for the origin, okay. So from here to here 50, and here to here inner radius is 25. Outer radius you calculated much. Outer radius R0, R0 is R25, so it means 25 plus 25. This is the inner radius 25. If you add additional 25 this one, that will get the R0. And R value how much? This is the R value. R value how much? R value just now we calculated 33.2. Rn value also we calculated, that is 31.64. Okay. Now W bending moment means load into perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance means the distance from here to up to here. That represents the X value. That represents the X load into distance. So that you calculated here. Now question is calculate the D value. The question is calculate the D value. So to calculate the D value, sorry, calculate the W value. To calculate W value, the process is tensile stress is equal load by area. Tensile stress equal load by area that you calculated. Now bending stress. So bending stress just now I have shown here. So this is a bending stress. Bending stress for the inner fiber, bending stress for the outer fiber. So because this is the non-symmetrical section, two bending stresses means BI, B0, two things you need to calculate. Okay. Now two things, bending stress at inner fiber, this is the relation, substitute the all values, you will get the answer in terms of W. Okay. The total maximum bending stress is maximum bending stress equal stress due to direct loading, stress due to direct loading, this is the one, stress due to direct loading, stress due to bending, both separately calculated, add here. Okay. So this is the 140 is the maximum permissible stress that is given in the question. Maximum stress is equal direct loading plus bending loading. Okay. So for the because of the bending stress you will get the answer in this is the answer, and because of bending this is the answer, just right here. 140 is given in the question, just right here. So what is finally W value? W will going to get like this. Okay. So this is the procedure for the in examination may ask to calculate the load. Otherwise load will be given and asked to calculate the this value. Instead of calculate the load value, in sometimes in examination W value will be given in the question and asked to calculate the what is the permissible stress value. Otherwise in examination this 140 value will be given and asking to calculate the W value. Okay. So you practice just 3-4 problems, whatever the given available in the this textbook, R.S. Kurmi or Bandari. In the from the R.S. Kurmi 3 problems and Bandari 3 problems, you will get the perfectness. Easily you can get the score. From the theory you will get the score. From this theory you can get the score 2-3 marks, and from problematic you will get the 16 marks.
Okay, sir.
Okay, ma.
Sir, only in this only 5 problems are there, no, sir?
What, Amma?
Only 5 cases are there in this. First one is rectangular, circular, trapezoidal, triangle.
Yeah. Right. How many shapes are I'm showing here? The shapes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 shapes are there. If you open this textbook, the all relation will be up. You will it is available in the textbooks here. All relation
Only,
will be
sir,
available in the textbook.
in this unit only we have to practice these 7 types of problem and
Yeah.
We can score.
If you practice the 7 type of problem, the difference is sometimes the load will be given directly. It means here the load is given here. There is no eccentricity. Eccentricity means applying the load here, and there is no distance between the here the distance is there 100 mm.
Yes.
Here also next problem. Here see here. The center of the origin for the figure is this is the one. Origin for the figure this is the one. Load is also applying here only. At this situation, no need to multiply, no need to calculate the bending moment. Bending moment itself given in the question.
Okay.
So see here, bending moment is given in the question.
Sir, in this part A, what we have to study for two short answer?
For short answers, from the gears, you can easily study you can easily expect the short answer questions on gear terminology, what is interference, how to avoid the interference, that is.
Okay.
And for the from this last unit, what is the assumptions for the curved beams? Otherwise, he may ask to write the some relations. Rn value, RR value. I just now I've shown the some relations. Such type of relation will also maybe ask in the examination. If you write the relation, you will easily we can get the 3 marks or 2
Okay.
marks. Okay. This is the about the 5th unit. Yes. This is the 5th unit.
Okay.
Now coming to the 3rd unit, bearings. So bearings. In bearing also you can expect the simple type of 2 marks short answer question, simple type of long answer question. Amma. This is a simple
Okay.
unit. Okay. First one is the classification of bearings. Under classification of bearings, radial bearing, thrust bearings are there. Radial bearing means whatever the load is applying, that is perpendicular to the axis of the rotation of the journal. It means here, this is the shaft is continuously rotating. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If the load is appearing, see the symbols here, the load is appearing like this, such type of bearings are known as a radial bearing.
Okay.
If the shaft is rotating, see the second figure, the load is appearing along the shaft.
Forward.
Along the axis of the shaft. Along the axis of the shaft. It is not selecting. Along the axis of the shaft, such type of bearings are known as a thrust bearing.
Okay.
Thrust bearing. Okay. Combination means bending as well as thrust. Here, see here, radial load means the along the axis of the shaft, radial load is applying along the axis of the shaft. Here, thrust load is appearing. Such type of is known as a combination of the loads. Okay. Now, sliding contact bearing, another classification. Sliding contact bearing nothing but between the journal. So observe the figure. The outer one is known as a journal. Outer one is known as a bearing. This is the central middle one, whatever the rotating element is there, that is known as a journal. What is the bearing here? First, what is the meaning of the bearing here? The bearing is a machine element which is used to allow the permits the relative motion between the meeting parts. Here, what are the meeting parts? The bearing, and this is the shaft. The middle one is the shaft, the outer one is the bearing.
Bearing.
So between these two are meeting parts. Now relative motion is existing here. So you can see the fan having the double ball bearing. What is the purpose we are inserting the double ball bearing there? To get the smooth action. To get the smooth action. If we not applied the bearings there, even though we can get the fan will going to rotate. But what happened? Because of the friction, the fan, whatever the power is there, the power is going to loss. it means excessive electricity will be required, and wastage of current and wastage of money, wastage of power, everything is going to loss. To overcome these are all things, bearings are required. Okay, it means bearings is a permits the relative motion between the two meeting parts. Okay, ma. So in such situation where the bearings you didn't find, the power loss will going to takes place. To overcome the power loss, we are inserting the bearings, and to get the smooth, again in bearings also smooth operation, to get the smooth operation, some extra lubricants we are adding, like a grease and vegetable oils. Extra, these are all things we are adding to get the smooth operation in the bearings. Okay. So this is a sliding contact bearing. Sliding contact bearing, why I am calling the sliding contact bearing? Because the sliding action will going to existing in this one. It means the shaft is continuously rotating. What happening at the contacts? Sliding action is going to taking. Okay. So that reason I am calling as a sliding contact bearing. Another one is a rolling contact bearing. Rolling contact bearing means the rolling action is going to exist between the two meeting parts. See, the washers are available. If you see the observe the diagram, the between the, this is the shaft, in between the middle portion is the shaft, the outer one is the bearing. So this inner race, this is the outer races, between these two balls are located. So because of the continuous rotation of the ball, the bearings is going to permits the relative motion to the journal or shaft. And because such type of, see, if you see the previous one, if you see the previous one, here sliding action existing here, because continuous contacting of the journal shaft with the bearing, so it is known as a full journal bearing, and there may be some friction will be exist here, because total surface is going to contact with the bearing. But in this case, only washers, whatever the balls are going to, tip of the balls are going to touches the inner recess, outer recess. So that reason, what happened, we are calling this because of this reason, we can also call as this type of rolling contact bearing as a anti-friction bearing.
Anti-friction bearing.
Anti-friction bearing.
Okay.
Where is? You just wait 5 minutes. I will come within 5 minutes.
Okay.
SM, are you there?
हाँ सर.
Sorry for your inconvenience. So this is the rolling contact bearings, also known as a anti-friction bearing, because
Okay.
the washers are having the contact at the inner edge and outer edges at tip of contact. It's nothing but higher pair. Okay, so that is an anti-friction bearing. We are calling this is the now sliding contact bearings having the different types of types of journal bearings. So this sliding contact bearing again having the three types of different. One is the full journal bearing, one is a partial journal bearing, one is a fitted bearing. Full journal bearing means what? Whatever the total the shaft is going to covered with the bearing total along its circumference.
Okay.
So such type of bearing is known as a full journal bearing. Partial journal bearing means the shaft is going to covered with the bearing surface with only 120 degrees. With only 120 degrees. Such type of bearing is known as a partial journal bearing. Fitted bearing means it is also same like a partial journal bearing, but there is no gap between the this shaft and bearing. There is no gap between the shaft and bearing. Such type of bearing is known as journal bearing. Now, what is the use of these three bearings? With the help of full journal bearing, we can apply the radial load in any direction. Radial load means what? Radial load means this is the axis of the shaft. Okay, is the axis of the shaft. So if you apply the perpendicular to the axis of the shaft, the such type of load is known as a radial load. Okay, so the such type the radial load we can apply it in any direction, means we can apply the in this direction, we can apply in this direction, we can apply in this direction, we can apply in this direction. In any direction, radial load is we can apply for the full journal bearing. That is the advantage of the full journal bearing. And whatever the most of the in industries, you will find the full journal bearings. Now coming to the partial journal bearing, what is use of partial journal bearing means for the car axles, if you find for the car axles, the car axle is going to mounted car axles or rail axles are mounted on the half bearing. It means this half bearing will appear like this here at the top, and the shaft is attached to the wheel. Okay, so there we can find the partial journal bearing. So one disadvantage of the partial journal bearing is load we can apply only one direction. It means load only we can apply in this direction. We cannot apply in this direction, because if you apply the load in this direction, the shaft is come outside. That is the
Okay.
disadvantage. And this is also same like this is the full partial journal bearing. The another disadvantage of the fitted bearing is the shaft diameter, journal diameter is the shaft diameter and bearing diameter is the same. Here the diameter of the bearing is larger than the shaft. Now another disadvantage is because of the same diameters of the bearing and shaft, there is a lot of friction will be there. Where we require, particularly in some situations where we require, there only we'll use the fitted bearings. So whatever the theory part I am explaining, that you can expect in the 2 marks questions. Okay.
Okay.
Now again, the journal bearings are two types. One is so this is the base. This classification is based on the nature of contact. So
Okay.
here, this is the total circumference it is going to contact. Here only partially it is going to contact. Here partially it is going to contact. Means this classification is based on the nature of contact. Now this classification is based on the maintaining the fluid film thickness. By maintaining the fluid film thickness. Fluid means what here in this bearing? Grease or oil to get the smooth operation. Okay. Now hydrodynamic, this based on the fluid film thickness. um, Hydrodynamic lubricated bearing, hydrostatic lubricated bearing. Two classifications are there. Okay. Now, what is hydrodynamic lubricated bearing? Hydrodynamic lubricated bearing is always presents the lubrication inside. Okay. It is a lubricated journal bearing that uses a fluid, a liquid, or gaseous lubricants to separate the moving surfaces completely without external pressure applied. It means always with the lubrication means maybe grease or oil, any other type of fluid that will going to use here to make the totally separate the two contact surfaces. See here, the two surfaces are going to contacting here. To make a completely separately, the lubrication we are using. What happens if we separate these two things? Smooth operation we can expect. Smooth operation we can expect. So that reason lubrication we are using. So totally here with the help of lubrication only we are making the separate parts. Such type of bearings is known as a hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Okay. Now here how it is going to separate it without any external or external elements, how it is separating. So this phenomena is known as a wedge film lubrication. That phenomena is known as a wedge film lubrication. You may get the question, sir, without any help, the shaft and bearing is how it is going to separate. The question is will be raised. How it is going to will be raised? Because internal when starts rotates, the shaft is going to rotate. The shaft is the whatever the fluid presence surrounding this shaft, somewhat in this fluid, the pressure is going to build up. The pressure diagram, the pressure distribution diagram here like this. In the lubrication, the pressure is going to build up like this. Okay, because of this pressure, what happened? The initial position was the shaft and bearing like this. After rotating, the position is going to shifted like here. See this one. After starting after a few seconds, after started the few seconds, the position of the shaft is going to shifted like this. After few seconds, it will go into like this. After few seconds, it is the shaft is going to located centrally, because in the lubricating oil, pressure is going to build up. That pressure what happened? Wedge film, the pressure, because of that pressure in the lubricating oil, wedge film is going to generate wedge. Why I am calling the wedge? The shape is appearing like a wedge here. If you observe the shape like this, okay, this is the wedge shape manner. Means the fluid is forcing to move in this side. The fluid is forcing to move in this side, because when it is rotate clockwise direction, when it is rotate anti-clockwise direction, the fluid is forced to move in this direction. So when it is moving in this direction or in this direction, the shape is generating like a wedge shape. So that reason I am calling as a wedge shape lubrication. So because of generation of the wedge shape, what happened? Oil is going to move bottom of this shaft. Because of continuous rotation, the lubricating oil is going to gathered here. Because of gathering of the lubricating oil, what happened? Automatically the shaft is going to lifted up centrally, and smooth operation is going to form. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the hydrodynamic lubricated bearing. Okay. Now journal bearing load is whatever the concept just now explained. This is the one. Initially it is point of contact, and because of rotation the wedge film is going to generate, and it is going to lifted up, and it is centrally it is going to rotate. That is the whatever the concept I explained now. This is also same. The lubricating hull, see here, lubricating hull, the pressure is build upping like this. The pressure is build upping like this, and this is the front view, this is the side view. This because of this pressure build upping, see here the fluid pressure is going to applying on the shaft. See this arrow mark. Okay. This the pressure is going to apply on the shaft. The shaft is going to lift it upward. When it is reaching to the centrally, it is going to rotate smoothly. That is the phenomena here. Okay. Now hydrostatic lubricated bearing. Hydrostatic lubricated bearing means here also bearing and shaft, two elements are going to make a separate, made a separate with help of fluid film thickness. In hydrodynamic lubricated bearing also, the meeting parts are going to separate with the help of fluid film. Here also meeting parts are going to separated with the help of fluid film. Then what is the difference between these two? In hydrodynamic also, here external by
externally, means manually or pump or electrical motor, whatever is there, with the help of these are all external devices, we are supplying the oil to make the separate the two meeting parts. Here shaft and bearing is the meeting part. Okay, we are making the separately with the help of oil supplying externally. That is known as a hydrostatic bearing, hydrodynamic bearing, sorry, hydrostatic. Okay.
Okay.
Rolling contact bearing. Rolling contact bearing also known as anti-friction bearing. The load, speed and operative velocity of the lubricant affect the friction. The constructions for the rolling contact bearing is outer recess, inner recess and rolling element. Rolling element means washers or ball. Washers, sorry, not washer. Balls and rollers are there. That is a rolling element. For ball, if balls are present, that is a ball bearing. If rollers are present, that is known as a roller bearings. So ball bearing you can see in the fans. Roller bearings, where we can find roller bearing, we can find at the steering of the bus, steering of the car.
Where this outer race and inner race, where we can find?
Outer race, inner race means, just wait. So this one is known as a inner race. This one
Okay.
is known as a outer race. Between these two balls are present. If the balls are present means rolling, these balls are rolling elements. Okay. So this, if the balls are present, rolling contact bearing. Are not rolling, ball bearings. If the balls are present in the rolling contact bearing, that is known as a ball bearing. Instead of balls, rollers are there. So that type of rolling contact bearing is known as a rolling contact roller bearings. Wait, this is the one. Shoulders. This one inner parts is known as the shoulders, and outer ring or outer race. This middle portion is known as bore. In this middle only the shaft is going to located.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is the one separator, ball separator or roller separator, means balls are going to move in this only. Totally
Okay.
whatever the ball motion is there, the ball position is fixed one. In this fixed position only balls are going to rotate. There is no displacement of the ball, but rotation is possible. That is the ball separator. Classification of the ball bearings and roller bearings: deep groove ball bearing, filling notch ball bearing, angular contact ball bearing. For the roller, cylindrical ball bearing, needle ball bearing, taper ball bearing, spherical ball bearings. Spherical bearings. So these are all the classifications for the anti-friction bearing or rolling contact bearing. Deep groove ball bearing. Single row of deep groove ball bearing can combination of radial and thrust bearings. So this is a single deep groove ball bearings, whatever the figure appearing. Single groove means, deep groove means there is a single groove just like this. This is a single groove deep groove ball bearing, means here groove is appearing. This is the one groove, this is the one groove. Groove is appearing. One single groove is appearing, nothing but deep groove. Ball means nothing but balls are presenting here. Ball bearings. Okay. So such type of bearings are we can use for the combination of radial as well as a thrust load. A load carrying capacity is limited for this type of deep groove ball bearing, and preliminary design for the primarily designed for the support radial loads, and the thrust capacity about 70%. The primary application for the deep groove ball bearing is a radial, and 70% of radial load we can. What is the support for the primarily designed for support the radial loads, and thrust capacity about the 70% we can find. Filling notch bearing. Filling notch bearing is, it is same like that a deep groove ball bearing, but one notch will be appear here. See here, one notch will be appear. So what is the use of notch? Whenever the balls are breakage, we can take out and we can insert new balls. So that is a filling notch bearing. This is a, see here, this is a deep groove ball bearing, and this is a filling notch. What is the difference here? One notch will be making here.
So with this notch, we can insert the balls easily. Annular contact bearing. Annular contact bearing means here only one side the groove will be provided one side, another side is having the locking. So with this
Okay.
what happen, self alignment of the axis will going to expect. Self alignment means because the angular position here this surface and this surface is going to meet and will going to separate it as per
Okay.
requirement, as per requirement. So at this
Okay.
time what happen, suppose if you see the in a propeller shaft in the vehicle, propeller
Yes.
shaft in the vehicle, how it is appearing, propeller shaft is always in a angular manner.
Yes.
So what happen, because of angular manner, the if we insert, because of these bearings are there presence in the propeller shaft at the end of the propeller shaft. So because of the because of presence of this bearing, the shaft is continuously rotates smoothly. There
Okay.
we can find this type of angular contact bearing. Okay.
Okay.
Roller bearings. Roller bearings, as just now I said, roller is nothing but instead of bars we use that is the roller bearings. So what is
Okay.
the use of roller bearings? Whenever the high capacity loads are there in general life application, high
Okay.
capacity loads are there. There we can apply the roller bearing.
Roller bearing.
So roller bearings you can find the wheel axles, heavy wheels, heavy wheeler is there, their rear axle and front axle is there. So at there we can find the roller bearing, and steering of the four wheeler also we can find the roller bearings. Okay,
Okay.
it means high load capacity whenever is required, this roller bearings is used.
Okay.
What happened, it is not coming.
Sir, in this only theory is there, not problem.
No, I will show the problem. Theory I'm explaining. I'm explaining the with problem also. Just wait, I will show with the problem. Bearings 962. Now this is a terminology. This terminology is also very important, Babu.
Okay.
Terminology is later I will tell later. Diameter clearance. Diameter clearance is denoted by capital C. It is denoted by capital C. It is the difference between diameter of the bearing and diameter of the shaft. It is the difference between the diameter of the bearing and
Bearing.
diameter of
Sure.
shaft. D minus D. D, capital D represents the diameter of the bearing. D is the small d represents the diameter of the shaft. The difference between these two is known as the diameter clearance. The diameter clearance is always should be small, not very large, not very small, not very too narrow. It should be optimum small value because necessary velocity gradient is required. Okay,
Okay.
necessity velocity gradient is required. So what happen, necessary velocity gradient if you provide, the pressure will going to build up, the pressure in the fluid is going to build up, what that pressure is going to support it. Just now I explained in the hydrodynamic bearing.
Okay.
Radial clearance means it is the difference between the radius of the bearing and radius of the shaft.
Okay.
It is represented by small c1. It is represented by small c1 r minus r, otherwise c by 2, capital C by 2.
Okay.
capital C by 2. And diametral clearance ratio, this terminology very important, you can expect for the short answer question, the terminology terms used in hydrodynamic bearing. Okay, now diametral clearance ratio is C by D. It is a ratio of diametral clearance to the diameter of the shaft or journal. Here I am using continuously shaft, you can use the in place of shaft journal also we can call journal, JOURNAL. Okay. Diametral clearance is D minus C. C means this is the one, D minus D by D. And eccentricity is nothing but it is a distance from the center of the bearing to this displaced center of the bearing. So see here, this is the center of the bearing. Now this is displaced after at the beginning or at the last stage, the center is displaced to here. So the displaced centers is known as eccentricity, small e.
Okay.
And minimum oil film thickness. Minimum oil film thickness is nothing but in this diagram where you find the minimum thickness between the meeting parts, that is a minimum oil film thickness, because here at this region only you can find the thickness of the film is very less. If you see here, thickness of the film is very large, here also somewhat larger than this one, somewhat larger than this one, but only the small portion of the thickness you can find here. Such type of is known as a minimum oil film thickness, that is denoted by H naught, that is denoted by H naught, small H naught. Okay. And that value, practical value is C by 4. H naught value is C by 4. Okay. And altitude or eccentricity ratio. Eccentricity ratio is nothing but it is the ratio of eccentricity to the radial clearance, E by C1. C1 is the radial clearance, E is the eccentricity. And this value also known as 1 minus 2 H naught by C. And short bearing, long bearing, the definition. Short bearing means if the L by D ratio is less than 1. If L by D ratio is less than 1, L value is nothing but length of the bearing, D is the diameter of the bearing. So if the L by D ratio if you calculate, the value will get, if suppose less than 1, the type of bearing is known as a short bearing. If the L by D ratio greater than, that is a longer bearing. If both are equal, means L by D equal to 1, if you get the answer, that is the square bearing.
Square bearing?
Yeah. See here, this is when the length of the journal is equal to the diameter of the journal, that is known as a square bearing.
Okay.
Now, bearing characteristic number, bearing modulus. This one is very important for exam point of view. It means 2 marks question. What is bearing characteristic means? Bearing characteristic number is the coefficient of friction in design of bearing is very important because it affords the mean for determine the loss of power. To determine the loss of power due to friction, the coefficient of friction will going to use. The term Zn by P is appearing here, that is the bearing characteristic number. The term here Zn by P is appearing, that is the bearing characteristic number. Now see here, the term just now I explained, the term Zn by P.
Zn by P.
The Zn by P is known as bearing modulus. The term Zn by P is known as a bearing characteristic number. See here, Zn by P is a bearing characteristic number. It is dimensionless parameter. Okay. Now what is the use of Zn by P and what is the use of coefficient of friction? See here, this is a practical graph. Whenever they are conducting the experiment, this is the practical graph. Zn by P value plotted in the x-axis, coefficient of friction is plotted in y-axis. Okay. Now the P is the initial position, R is the final position, S is the final position, QR is the intermediate position of the bearing, means when it is rotating.
before rotating P is point. Final position means final rotating value. S is the last point. Q, R are the intermediate points. So at the beginning stage, you can find the thickness in the lubrication system. In the lubricating oil, it means whatever the lubrication oil present in the bearing, there you can find the thickness in the lubrication. And because of the thickness, what happening? The metal to metal, there is a no metal to metal contact. There is no metal to metal contact. Now, after starting rotation, what happened? Because of continuous rotation of the shaft carrying the pressure, distributing the pressure in the lubrication, then the pressure is going to build up in the lubricating oil. That lubricating oil forced the shaft to upward rise of the shaft. Okay. Now, because of continuous operation of this one, the temperature will going to build in the lubricating oil. Because of the temperature rise in the lubricating oil, what happened? The viscosity of the lubricating oil will going to decreases. Because of the lubricating temperature rises in the lubricating oil, viscosity will going to decreases. Because of viscosity will going to decreases, what happened? There is a what happened? Thickness, the metal to metal contact will going to takes place. Metal to metal contact will be again start. Again at that time, what happened? Again, because of metal to metal contact, the power loss will going to start, and shaft is going to rotate slowly. Because of slow rotation, what happened? Again, temperature will going to dissipate outside. It means in lubrication oil, temperature is decreased. And because of temperature decrease, what happened? Viscosity of the lubricating oil again increase. Again, thickness will be going to increase. This process continuously happening in the bearing. So at the initial position, when there is no temperature, thickness film you can find. And when the temperature rising, the boundary film lubrication you can find, means a thin film is going to generate. A thin film is going to generate.
Then
Even the continuous rotation of shaft, what happening? Because of continuous rotation, what happening? Metal to metal contact will going to takes place. Where metal to metal contact will going to taking place here in this diagram at point A. At point A, metal to metal point is going to taking place contact. So this A point where the metal to metal is taking place, that point is known as a bearing modulus. That K point is known as a bearing modulus. That is denoted by K. It means the Zn by P value, for the Zn by P value where the bearing or shaft are touching to each other, that particular point, at that particular point, this Zn by P is known as a K. K means what? Bearing modulus. Okay. This K value always, it means Zn by P is always greater than the K. Always should be greater than K, not less than the K. Zn by P value should always greater than the K. It means whatever the bearings you are operating, that for that bearing Zn by P value should always greater than the K value. If it is less than the K, what happening? The metal to metal contact will going to take place, and power and material loss going to taking place. For heavy load application, Zn by P value this much. Zn by P is equal 15 times K. Zn by P value 15 times K. Okay. General value is at least 3 times. Zn by P value is at least 3 times of K value. For general, for designing, Zn by P at least 3 times the minimum value. It means Zn by P is equal to 3K. For heavy load application, Zn by P is equal to 15K.
15K.
Okay. Whatever it may be for the values, blindly you can remember this one. Zn by P is always greater than K. Okay. So this is the theory about the sliding contact bearing. Now this is the relation you need to remember. Coefficient of friction is equal to 33 by 10 to the power of 8 into Zn by P. This is the bearing characteristic number. D by C plus K.
Okay, this relation at any cost you need to remember.
Okay, sir.
And K value is 0.002. This is also constant value. The critical pressure. This also relation also you need to remember. This critical pressure is very important.
Okay, sir.
Critical pressure is very important for the 2 marks question. Critical pressure is nothing but at the pressure at which oil film going to start the brake. Whatever the lubrication we are supplying to the bearing, that oil is going to break. What happens if the lubrication oil is breakage? The metal to metal contact will going to takes place. So that pressure when the oil film is going to breaking, that pressure is known as a critical pressure.
Okay.
Or minimum operating pressure. So the pressure equation is Zn by 4.75 into 10 to the power of 6 into d by c whole square plus L by d plus L. Its units is Newton per mm square. Next one is the Sommer field number. This is also very important for the 2 marks question. Sommer field number is nothing but it is a number. Sommer field number, it is a preferred number. Dimensionless parameter, this is the one. For the it is used to design the journal bearings Zn by P d by C whole square. For designing safe purpose, this product value is always 14.3 into 10 to the power of 6. Okay, and heat generated in the bearing. This from this topic, these relations are used to solve the problem. Heat generated in the bearing. Heat generated bearing is nothing but Qg equal. It is denoted by heat generated in the bearing is Qg. Q suffix g, that is equal to mu into W into V. Mu is the coefficient of friction. Just now you have calculated here. See, this is the mu. Okay. W is given in the question. W will be given in the question. W will be given in the question, load on the bearing, and V is the pitch line velocity. V is the velocity, rubbing velocity, pi d n by 60. This is the relation to calculate the V, where n is the speed of the bearing, RPM. So this relation is to calculate the heat generated in the bearing. Now heat dissipated in the bearing, another relation, heat dissipated in the bearing, QD equal CA into TB minus TA. So the heat generated, heat dissipated units are always W, watts. Remember this one. If you forget to write the units, you will not get the marks. Okay. So QD equal CA into TB minus TA. C is the heat dissipation coefficient, watt per meter square degree centigrade. This is also very important unit. A is the projected area, L into D. TB is the bearing temperature. TA is the surrounding temperature, ambient temperature. TA means nothing but ambient temperature. Okay, and C value is, this is the one, the C value here. The C value is 142 to 420 for the unventilated bearing. Unventilated bearing, where you can find the unventilating system, you can find the four-wheeler. In four-wheelers, inside the engine, bearings are there. So there you can find the unventilated. Unventilated means there is no ventilation. So for that situation, 142, 420. For well ventilation, where we can find the ventilation, for that 492, 4800. Now relation is TB minus TA is equal to 1 by 2 T naught minus. Okay, so this is the relation. Now this note is very important. The note is, if you subtract the QG minus QD just now we calculated QG and QD, this is the one. If you subtract these two, net power loss, how much we calculated? That is a QT. QG minus QD equal QT. That is equal to MST. M is a mass of the oil, kg per second. S is the specific heat of the oil, that is the units of this one. The value is 21840 to 2100, and T is the temperature difference between the outlet and inlet of the oil. Okay, T is this one. Now, what is the use of this equation? It means because of continuous rotation of the bearing, this much of heat is generating watts, and because of the material property, whatever the different properties or what different criteria are there, this much of heat is dissipating to outside. Now, still because of the continuous rotation, the what heat will be remain inside the bearing. That how much this is the QT that we are equating to the MST. MST is nothing but additionally from the outside we are supplying the lubrication. How much lubrication we are supplying? This much mass of lubrication we are supplying. What is the specific heat of the lubrication? This much of the specific heat of the lubrication. Why we are how much with how much temperature we are supplying? This much of temperature we are supplying. That we are calculating now. So see here. One example problem I am showing here. Design a journal bearing of centrifugal pump from the following data. Load of the bearing is given. Load on the journal bearing to 20,000 newtons. Speed of the journal is 900 rpm, and type of oil is SAE 10. Speed of the journal is 900 rpm. Type of SAE 10. Absolute viscosity is 55 degrees. For the this much of temperature, this much of viscosity is there 0.017 kg per meter meter second. Ambient temperature of the oil TA is given 15.5. Maximum bearing pressure this much given 1.5, and calculate also mass of the oil. See, this is the one question is asking mass of the oil. This is the question asking nothing but designing mass of the oil, lubricating oil required for the artificial cooling. Why we are supplying the mass of oil? Artificial cooling we are supplying. For artificial to get the artificial cooling, we are supplying the oil here. If rise of temperature of the limited to 10 degrees, it means this is the one. This is the one, 10 degrees. Heat dissipation coefficient C value is given. It means this is the one. C value is given here. The C value. This is the C value. Two C values are there. So one C value is given in the question 1232 watt per meter square per degree centigrade. Now the procedures here. First of all, we need to calculate the L value and D value. So first of all, length of the journal bearing we need to calculate. So assuming the diameter of the journal bearing is 100 mm. With starting, he is assuming 100 mm. So 100 mm is assuming, and L by D ratio we need to calculate first. For that, D value he assume as a 100 mm. Now we need to calculate the L value. So L value is from this relation L by D is equal to 1.6. How he taken as a 1.6 from the table? From this table, what type of question is given here? Question is the centrifugal pump. See read the question here. What type of design a journal bearing for centrifugal pump? Okay. For centrifugal pump, we need to check in the table. Where is the centrifugal pump? Where is centrifugal pump? Here centrifugal pump is there.
Sir, okay. These values we have to by heart it.
Actually, data book should be provided, but university is not giving permission to supply the data books. It means you need to remember these values, the table value or empirical relation, whatever the values are there. So see here, centrifugal pump value L by D is 1 to 2. You can select the 1, you can select the 1.5, you can select the 1.75, you can select the 1.95, you can select as a 2. 1 to 2, any value you can select. Okay. So centrifugal pump part he selected here. Here he selected L by D is a 1.6 he selected. Okay. So after selecting the L by D as a 1.6, D value you assumed as 100 mm, easily you can calculate the L value. Now bearing pressure. Bearing pressure is P is equal to load by area. Load is given in the question. Area is given in the question. Area means L into D. L value you calculated and D value you assumed, and your bearing pressure you got. Okay. Now after getting the pressure value in question, the bearing pressure value is given 1.5 Newton per mm square. 1.5 Newton per mm square. Just you need to compare your calculated value 1.25, permissible value given in the question 1.5. It means
Yes.
whatever you assume 100 mm, that is safe. Whatever the 100 mm you assumed here and whatever the LBD you assumed here, that all values are safe condition. When safe condition, the calculated p value is less than the given p value. If the calculated p value exceeding the given value in the question, it means the 100 mm whatever you assuming, that is dangerous condition. That is the help of this one. Now Zn by P value we calculating. Zn by P is nothing but bearing characteristic number. Zn by P, Z value is a viscosity, N is the speed, and P is the pressure. Pressure safe value you need to select. P is the safe value we need to select. What is the safe value here? The safe value is a 1.25. 1.5 is also safe value, means it is the highest limit of the pressure. But our suggestion is always use the less value to get the safe operation. So that reason 1.25 value we are selecting here. So here we are using 1.25. So Zn by P we calculated. Okay, Zn by P value how much we got? 12.24 given we got, but from the table it is a 28. It is a 28. It means our calculated value also less than this value. From the table Zn by P value we got this much. What table? Same table what you here see here. Zn by P. Zn by
For whole bearing chapter, only this table is enough.
For the sliding contact bearing, this table will help. For rolling contact bearing, there are four tables are there like this.
Okay.
So Zn by P value from the table this much, you calculated value this much. It means here also minimum value of bearing modulus, it is oil film maybe breakage by, this is the one. Zn by P is equal to at least 3 times of K. So K value we calculated with the help of this equation. K value we calculated. Okay. Now with the help of this 28 we calculated the K value as a 9.33. Now previously we calculated Zn by P 12.24. Compare, see this one. Since the calculated value bearing characteristic number 12.24, that is more than this value. There is more than this value. In bearing characteristics in diagram, what I said, Zn by P value is always the greater than the K value. I said one statement.
Yes,
Zn by P value is always more than the K value. So see here, K value is 9.33. Zn by P you calculated as about 12.24. 12.24 is greater than the 9.33. It means it is working under the safe. That comment you need to write. Now from the table, C by D ratio also you need to select 0.0013. Now whatever the values you calculated, all substitute in this equation. Coefficient of friction is equal to 33 by 10 to the power of 8 Zn by P D by C plus K. K value always 0.002. All values substitute here, you will get the value here 0.0015. Now heat generated equation mu into W into V. Mu you calculated just now. W is given in the question. V is pi d n by 60. That you calculated 480 watts. Now heat dissipated QD equals CA into TB minus TA. C value is given in the question. A is nothing but area L into D. TB minus TA is nothing but half into TO minus TA. TO is the ambient temperature is given in the question. TA is a TO is ambient temperature. TA is the bearing temperature is given in the question. Okay, that is the one. Now substitute the all values. You will get the QD. Heat generation this much, heat generating this much, and heat dissipated this much. Still, how much heat is inside the bearing? this much of the heat is going to remain inside the bearing. How I am calculating? Heat generated minus heat dissipated. Heat generated means heat dissipated. This much of heat remains inside the bearing. This heat also we need to make a zero. This heat also we make a zero. If we make as a zero, the bearing will going to run smoothly, give the long service. So then what we need to do? We need to supply the artificial cooling system. It means from the external source we are supplying the oil. How much oil we need to supply? That is the next question. How much oil we need to supply? That is QT equal MST. QT equal MST. What is QT? This value is a QT. This value is a QT. QT equal MST. M is the mass of lubrication oil. That is the question. S is the specific heat that we need to assume. And T is the temperature of the oil given in the question 10. So apply the all values here. You will get the mass value in terms of kg per second or kg per minute. So this is the procedure for sliding contact bearing.
Okay.
This is the procedure for the sliding contact bearing. Okay. So my suggestion is you better perfect with the sliding contact bearing. If you go to the rolling contact bearing, there is a lot of tables are there, lot of relations are there. Just be perfect with the theory with the rolling contact bearing. Okay.
Only rolling contact bearing.
Only sliding contact bearing is a simple top problems are there, simple theory is there. In rolling contact bearing, you perfect with the theory.
Okay.
Don't go, my suggestion is don't go to the problem because
Okay.
lot of relations are there. Just rolling contact bearing. So this is the classification theory. See this table also you need to remember. Then see this is the relation. Basic static loading. This relation you need to remember. And for the this is the for radial load, radial ball bearing, radial roller bearing. This is a for ball bearing. This is a for roller bearing. Now static equivalent for rolling bearing. This is for the static relation. First equation, second equation, respective tables are there. This is a respective table. Life of bearing. For this, another table is there. Dynamic loading, another relation is there. Lot of relations are there. When is a machine design subject exam is there?
Tomorrow, sir.
Tomorrow only.
Yes.
So it is not enough time to this rolling contact bearing. Just
Yes, sir.
perfect.
Just sliding contact bearing is enough.
Sliding contact bearing is enough. So this is a
Sir,
common
bearing
relations.
chapter is very lengthy chapter.
A very lengthy chapter, but easiest. This is also very easiest one. This theory also very this whatever relation I'm showing for the ball bearing also easiest one, but
Yes.
lot of relations are there. It is difficult you.
But the formulas is more, sir.
Formulas are more. Actually, university should provide the data book, but university why I don't know. In JNTU, the university is allowing the data books. In OU, it is not allowing. Uh, where you are writing the exams?
MJ College, MJ College.
MJ College. You just ask tomorrow, sir, I need a data book. If they provide, okay.
Okay.
If they not provide, whatever you have remembrance, you write that exam.
Okay, sir.
Hmm?
Okay.
Now this is the bearings. Theory of bending, bearings we completed. Now just see the springs.
Ah,
Is it appearing? Is it appearing, Amma? Hello.
Sir, it is. Sir.
So bearings, springs, first unit. In first unit also, 2-3 relations are there. Just see the what is the relation, what is the theory. Spring is nothing but spring is having the elastic, because of elastic energy springs are operating. If the springs doesn't having the elastic property, the spring will not going to work. It means what is the elasticity? Whenever the applying and after application, after removal of the load, the material going to regain its position, that is the elasticity. So that property is there inside the springs. Because of that reason, springs are going to operating. Now coming to the type of springs: helical spring, okay, conical spring, torsion spring, leaf spring, disc spring. As per your subject, helical spring, leaf springs are very important.
Okay, sir.
Helical spring. Helical spring is nothing but it is the spring is coiled in a manner helical shape. The spring is going to generated in a manner helical. Okay, the coil is appearing in a manner helical shape. So that reason, based on the shape, the spring is known as a helical spring. So this helical springs has also two types. One is the compression helical spring, tension helical spring. This helical spring generally you can find in your life, general life. A bike stand, if you see the bike stands, one helical tension spring will appear at the bike stands. Side stand, if you are applying the side stand, one spring is a small spring. That is known as, that is the helical tension spring. Where you can find the compression spring at the flyover bridges, between the slab and between the pillar, one spring is there. Okay, so that spring is known as a compression helical spring. Okay, this is the one. At the bike stand, you can find this type of spring. This is the helical tension spring. This is the helical compression spring. Okay, this, whatever the parameters are written on the spring, that you need to calculate. That is the design of spring.
Okay.
Whatever the parameters are representing on the spring, that only you need to calculate it here. How much diameter of the wire, how much diameter of the spring bore, and what is the total length of the spring, what is the pitch of the spring, what is the conical angle of the spring. All are you need to calculate separately and write it here. That is the design of spring. Simple thing is there.
Okay.
This is a conical spring. This is a torsion spring. This type of spring you can find where torsion spring, this type of spring, at the to hold the cloths, one clips are there.
Yes, sir.
So there you can find this type of torsion spring. This is the spiral spring. This spiral spring you can find in the olden days clocks, to
Yes, sir.
alarm clock. There you can find, and small kids kids playing cars or toys. There you can find this spiral springs. This is a leaf spring, where you can find such setup of spring
In
at the
heavy loads vehicle.
heavy loads. Okay, so this is also very large relations are there for leaf spring. My suggestion is you perfect with the helical spring only. Just theory, you can refer this one. This is not there. This is about theory, and I will explain with the one problem for the bearing, spring. Springs 820.
820. Now see, this is a spring. This surge in the spring is important for the 2 marks question. What is surge? When one end of the helical spring is resting on rigid support and another end is locked suddenly. When one end of the helical spring is resting on the rigid support, another end is loaded suddenly, then all coils are of the springs will not be suddenly deflected equally, because sometimes the required some time is required to propagation of the stress along the spring wire. So this one I want to show with the image. This is very important for the 2 marks question.
Okay.
If I show the diagram, you can easily understand. Maybe children will play the one spring continuously. The one spring is there continuously, they will going to play. Simple video లేదు ఇక్కడ. Small kids are going to play with the spring in for time pass. They are playing with this one spring is there holding in 2 hands continuously. They are operating that one. So
sir, like what we can say, QD, like QD.
So whatever the operation you are finding there, that is known as a surge in springs. Surge is nothing but because of sudden shock is applied on the coil, whatever the stress distribution in the spring, each coil is not uniform. Stress distribution is not uniform. So whatever the motion, actually each coil of the spring should carry the load equally, then only the spring is going to work good. If the each coil is not supporting the stress load distribution or stress distribution uniformly, what happen, the non-uniform distribution you are going to get. Such type of phenomena is known as a surge in the springs. That is most dangerous for the decision of spring. Okay, this is a one relation. This also you need to remember. This theory is you need to remember whenever it is asked for 2 marks question, you need to write this one. Now see, this is a small problem I am explaining. A helical spring is made from the wire 6 mm diameter. Diameter of the wire is given. Has outside diameter 0.75 mm, outside diameter 0.75 mm. It means after making the wire, the diameter.
Sir, I have a practice spring problem. No need to.
You're practicing.
Yes, I have practiced.
Okay, man. Just
Only
see
theory part I have not understand.
theory part.
I am clear now, sir, about spring.
Spring theory is clear or any doubts?
No, spring theory is all clear.
Okay. Now, shall we start gears? Gears with only theory, my suggestion. Because gears is the, what we call gears are the heart for the machine design subject. Sliding, rolling, contemplating types of springs, general bearing, rolling, contemplating, design bearing. So gears are nothing but the gears topic begin with the rolling friction circle. Sorry, not rolling friction circle. So based on the friction topic, the gears are built up. So there is a two wheels are there. On that wheels, friction material is uneven surface is coated. Because of that reason, what happened when one wheel is rotating, another wheel also going to rotate. But what happening there? Because of speed increasing of the one driver wheel, what happened? The another wheel going to not rotate with the first gear, because law of dynamic friction is, what is the law of dynamic friction? As the speed increases, friction is going to decreases. So because of that reason, the gears, the friction wheels are going to fail. After that, what happening? The based on the conducting number of experiments, that if we provide the tools on the wheels, it the exact whatever the power is there, easily we can transmit the one place to another place. Like that, the scientists are thought like that, and they develop the gears. Okay, so that is the actual in brief introduction about the gear. Now types of gears. Types of gears are spur gear, helical gear. Spur gear, helical gear, herringbone gear, rack and pinion gear. So these gears are broadly classified based on the axis of the rotation of the gear. Means axis of the two gears are parallel to each other. This is the classification. If the axis of the two gears are intersecting, this is the one classification. If the axis of the two gears are parallel, this is the one classification. If the axis of the two gears are intersecting perpendicular to each other, this is the one classification. Another is the non-intersecting, non-parallel. One gear name is not appearing here. Non-warm and warm gears. Okay.
Okay.
Now, spur gear, first one. Spur gear means axis of the two gears. See, this is the one. Axis of the two gears. Gear A, gear B. These two axes are parallel to each other. Such type of gears are spur gear. Okay. This spur gear, again, this spur gear comes under the parallel axis. And spur gear means what here? Again, the teeth of the gears are parallel to the axis of the gear. See, these are the
Okay.
teeth. The all teeth are parallel to the axis of the gear. Such type of gears are known as spur gear. Transmit the power from one shaft to another shaft, where we can use electrical screwdriver, oscillating sprinkle, and wind up arm clocks. In these all situations, we can use the spur gear.
Okay.
Wait, Amma.
हेलो
हाँ सर, दुर्गेश सर, नहीं चल रहा सर? क्यों सर? कुछ काम है सर?
अरे बच्चे को ड्राइंग कर पड़ो
No, see Amma. External gearing, internal gearing, these two are also spur gears. So gears are locating outside of the gear, that is external gearing. Inside there is nothing but internal gearing. Helical gearing. Helical gear is nothing but, in spur gear, teeth are parallel to the axis of the gear, that is a spur gear. If the teeth inclined to the axis of the gear, that is known as a helical gear. That is known as a helical gear. Teeth are of the helical gears are cut in at an angle of the face of the gear. The here the gradual engagement of the gates will going to take place because the teeth are inclined manner. Because the teeth have in the inclined position, so gradual load is applying in the helical gear. In spur gear, because of straight teeth, direct the load is going to applying on the teeth. Okay, so because of the direct
Okay.
load applying, what happening there, the teeth are going to subject to impact load. The teeth are going to subject to impact load. So because of that reason, there may be failure, breakage of the tooth are going to, chances are there. Okay,
Okay.
now in the helical gear, what happening, because of inclination of the gear teeth, they gradually the load is applying on the gear teeth. So there, whatever the disadvantage you find in the spur gear, that is overcoming in here. And the
Okay.
helical gear also you can find in the automobile gearbox. Whatever the gears are present in the automobile, for gears, whatever the gears are present, that is the helical manner.
Okay.
See, this is the helical gear, inclined manner.
Okay.
This is a herringbone gear. Herringbone gear is nothing but it is also like a helical gear, but the in previous one, in this one, the helical teeth are provided only one side. If the teeth are provided two sides, it means in this manner helical, in this manner helical. Okay,
Okay.
such type of gears are known as a herringbone gear. So why we are providing this one? Because to avoid the axial load on the gear. It means the gears also subject into the gear teeth also subject into the thrust load and axial load. Okay, that load is going to avoided with the help of this herringbone gear. The axial load is going to avoided. Axial thrust nothing but thrust is nothing but load. Herringbones are generally used in heavy machinery. What is the purpose of herringbone gear? To avoid the axial thrust load. Axial thrust load, these herringbone gears are using, and these are also using in heavy machinery. Rack and pinion gear. Rack and pinion gear is nothing but larger infinity diameter. One is having the small diameter. Such type of is known as a rack and pinion gear. This is nothing but rotary motion is converting into translatory motion. Translatory motion is converting into rotary motion. Bevel gears. Bevel gears is comes under the classification of the axes are intersecting. Axis of intersecting. Gears axes are intersecting, that is known as a bevel gears. So bevel gears are here. This is the axis of the one gear. This is the axis of the another gear. Both are intersecting here. Okay. Such type of gears are known as bevel gears. Bevel gears also having the different types. Straight bevel gear, spiral bevel gear. Okay, straight bevel gear, whatever the just now you see in, you have seen in the spur gears, means teeth are straight bevel gear. Spiral bevel gear means teeth are having the somewhat inclination. So such type of this type of spiral bevel gear you can find in the differential gearbox of the four wheeler. Differential gearbox means at the rear wheel you can find that this differential gearbox. In that, these spiral bevel gears are applied. Okay. Worm and worm gears. Worm and worm gears means like this. It is having the one gear and one is having the threaded portion. So this one, this rotary motion is converting in this rotary motion. Here, non-intersecting, non-parallel. See, this is the axis of the gear. This is the axis of this gear. These two are not intersecting, either nor intersecting, neither parallel. Such type of gears are worm and worm gears. The gear train is not your topic. The gear terminology is important for the 2 marks question. We will end with this topic. Okay. Nomenclature. So this nomenclature, pitch surface. Pitch surface is the imaginary. It is the imaginary surface through which with their imaginary rolling cylinder thread is going to start, means whatever the threaded portion or tools are going to we need to form, that is going to form with this pitch surface. Pitch circle is an imaginary circle. Pitch circle is an imaginary circle, means it is an imaginary circle. From the pitch circle only we are going to generate the teeth, how many teeth or what is the size of the gear, it all things are going to depend on the pitch circle. Addendum circle. Addendum circle is nothing but it is a circle bonding on the end of the teeth. Addendum circle means, so this is the total height of this total teeth. If you draw one circle passing through the tip of the tooth, okay, the distance between the pitch circle and this addendum circle, that is known as the addendum. This pitch circle will always addendum circle always passes through the tip of the tooth. The distance between this addendum circle and pitch circle, so here this one is known as the addendum. There is a addendum circle. Dedendum circle. Dedendum circle is nothing but the circle passes through the bottom of the tooth. The circle passes through the bottom of the tooth. That is the dedendum circle. The distance between the dedendum circle and pitch circle is known as a dedendum. See, this is the difference. Okay. Now, addendum. Clearance. Clearance is nothing but it is the difference between the addendum and dedendum of the meeting gears. This is the clearance. This is the addendum circle. This is the dedendum circle. Difference between these two circles is known as a clearance. Face of the tooth. Face of the tooth is the part of the tooth face lying outside of the pitch surface. This is the face. This is the surface is known as face. This is the surface is known as a flank. This portion is known as a fillet.
Okay.
Face, flank. Circular. Tooth space. Tooth space is nothing but it is a distance between the two teeth. This is the distance between the two teeth. So this distance, whatever the distance is appearing here, this distance is nothing but tooth space. Backlash. Backlash is nothing but the difference between the circle thickness of the one gear and another tooth space. It means here just now. Backlash means see here. Here one point is appearing. This is the another gear. This is the another gear. Okay. So this whatever the gap is creating, that is known as a backlash. So backlash if the present in the gear system, that is disadvantage. Circular pitch PC, it is a ratio of circular. It is a circular pitch. The width of the tooth and space is measured with the circular pitch. PC is equal to pi d n. It is not appearing. Pi d by t. Actually not n here. This is the t. Pi d by t. Circular pitch. Diametral pitch PD is equal to t by d. Diametral pitch is nothing but is a ratio of tooths on the gear by diametral tooths on the teeth by diametral pitch. Module is nothing but it is a ratio of diametral pitch to number of teeth. M is equal to d by t. Diametral pitch is t by d. Just see the difference. P is equal to t by d. Here M is equal to d by t. Here in place n, just remember t as a. So velocity ratio omega 1 by omega 2 equal, it is shuffled. So it is converted into PPT, so that reason it is totally jumbled. Omega 1 by omega 2 equal d2 by omega 1 by omega 2 equal d2 by d1, actual relation. That is a velocity ratio. These are not required for you. So this is the theory about the gear topics. Any doubts? Any clarification you need, you can ask.
Sir, if you have any important about gear and springs topic, bearing and gear.
Bearing and gear. So important questions you are asking.
Important.
Questions are for the design machine. Please, machine design subject you cannot Noise is from coming your side.
Okay.
So, coming to the design topic, you cannot expect the important question because it is all depends on the empirical relation. Empirical relation is always constant, only just changing the parameters, changing the question. That is all. So this is a question important. I cannot say that like that. If it is kinematics of machinery, dynamics of machinery, engineering mechanics, I can say the important question because question is always continuously coming from these repeated questions. But in machine design subject, repeated question you cannot expect. Because empirical relations are there. So we need to apply there is no derivations, only relations are there. We need to apply the relations. If there is a derivation, we can expect the questions.
Okay.
Any doubts tomorrow? I think you have the exam.
Yes, I.